Hi, my name is Neb Camus Sen and Tama-Re, and this is the second part of the video, Malachi's Mission Earth. Behold, I have been sent to prophesy before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahuwah. Before me was Elijah. Elijah is the reverse of Yahuwah Elohim El Elo. The Elohim Yahuwah is the manifestation of in the form of perfection. He is the Elijah for this day and time, for there were many. But because you were not ready for the many, such as Elijah the Tishbite of the book of the First Kings, degree 18, then again in a second incarnation, John the son of Zachariah, called the Baptist, who was not aware of whom he was, and the third incarnation as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was the third Elijah sent to prepare the way for myself, Malachi. Each of these was not the final Elijah, because you were not willing to accept him. But it was necessary for the preparation of what I am teaching you now for your understanding and acceptance. I had to take you through several schools of learning before I get you to this point to get all the stories and names correct in your head. You will become sons of the Elohim, back into the family of the Elohim after the order of Melchizedek. New words were introduced, and people grabbed onto them quickly and started calling themselves Nubians instead of black this or black that or Afro this or Afro that. You are Nubians. You are originally from Nubia. You have your own language, Nubic, Nuaubik. You have your own dress and the culture. You now have everything you need to go to the next level. I came giving you what you wanted, Islam, so that you will learn to want what I have to give. Now you have learned to want what I have to give. The name Nubian started spreading throughout the Western Hemisphere. You wore nose rings immediately. Nose rings became a trend. I said you wore braids. That too became a trend. I said you wore beads in your hair. And beads on the braids became a trend. I said stop calling them white people. They are not white. They are lepers. And that too became a trend for all Nubian leaders. It is the curse of Canaan, the Amorite, the 400-year bondage as opposed to the 430-year bondage of Israel. Everybody would start to pick out of the things that were being said, never knowing that hope had finally arrived. The facts beyond any doubt had finally come. And this mysterious spell called the spell of Leviathan was about to be broken. A doctrine that all previous leaders were feeding off of and pretending that it was theirs came like a thief in the night, rose up from in your midst. Yet in return for these facts, there was only slander, much gossip, much hearsay. They sent out their best. First, the leaders would try their futile attacks on what he had to say, only to be put in check immediately. Next, they called the Arabs. Go prove him wrong. They came to leave with their tails between their legs and with such a fear of me, their only thoughts were, we must kill him. They attempted to approach it from an Arabic standpoint, and it was met with Arabic in its purest form. They came with Hebrew. That too was met. Deep in their hearts and in the hearts of their followers, they began to realize that the time had finally come. Our revelation was now in order. The events of the enslavement and the abuse are scriptural, as the abuse of the Israelites in Egypt. And this is how and when it all began for us. The mission of our master teacher, formed in the late 1960 under the name Amun Nubi Ruach Ptah, an unknown writer of the science of Nuabu. Knowing the Nubians weren't ready for that level of information as of yet, I started teaching under the name Imam Isa. For Muslims, seemed to be the most influential movement of that day and the time, and didn't dare question each other. I set up the headquarters, which was located in Brooklyn, New York, and began in an apartment building on 2525 Bedford Avenue in 1967. During that time, I named my mission Ansar Pure Sufi, with the usage of the six-pointed star and the crescent with an ankh inside. Our official garb at this time was a black tunic we called a budla, black loose-fitting pants with a tarbush and shoes which became known as Romeos. This was in the year 1967. Then the dress changed to African robes, and the people, we called ourselves the Nubians. This was in the year 1968 through 1969. In 1969, the group metamorphosized to the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, and the dress changed to a more elaborate style of dashiki, a black fez, a small bone in the left ear for those who wished to wear it, and a ring in the right nostril. In 1970, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews were founded as an official sect, and communal living was set. Also in the year 1970, the small flock moved to a house on Neptune Avenue and 23rd Street in Coney Island and opened a pure Sufi bookstore on 720 Flatbush Avenue, and the layout and printing shop was 492 Flatbush Avenue right down the block. 2813 West 29th Street served as a meeting place and lecture hall, which was my home in Coney Island. We then relocated and opened a masjid on 222 Utica Avenue. This was a very spiritual period, and many angelic visitors manifested themselves to the growing congregation. Our community was expanding so rapidly, we had to move again in 1972, this time to 452 Rockaway Avenue, where classes were held in what we called the upper room. The next move took us to Carroll Street, where a candy store was opened. Later that year, the masjid was re-established at 883 St. John's Place, and a bookstore was opened. I published the pamphlets of peace. I wrote, typed, illustrated, reproduced, and distributed them almost single-handedly. I diligently treaded the streets of New York and surrounding areas as I propagated Sufi Islam. I was blessed with the gift of gab, combined with a sense of humor and charisma that draws people of all walks of life to me. People began to wonder, who was this man who spoke so profoundly and so persistently on many subjects which were previously considered unmentionable? At first, many people joined the mission because it was the style to be black and cultural. I drew many hypocrites, phonies who just wanted to play Muslims. They didn't want to work to build a nation. They just wanted to dress in African clothing, play drums, and listen to me speak. I called them the first fruits. They were faithful but not true. In 1972, after returning from Sudan, I drew a literal line on the masjid floor and said, those who wanted their culture but did not want to sacrifice to build for the future were excluded. The mission was then carried on by those who were willing to work for the perfection. The mission expanded and moved to a new headquarters in the Bushwick section of Brooklyn, originally occupying one building, 743 Bushwick Avenue, and then adding on more buildings as time passed until it had grown into a village which presently exists on Bushwick Avenue till this day. Our mission had obtained all its assets through sacrificing without the aid of outside funds. We established many businesses within our community structure. Immediately the jealousy and the hatred started. The slander was on the lips of those who could not quite understand where we came from. We donned black tar bushes and our symbol was simply a crescent, a six-pointed star with an arm. We propagated daily. We walked the trains, through the buses, and on all the college campuses. Our message of the Nubian Islamic Hebrews Ansar Allah community could be heard. The Nubians that were following Orthodox Islam and many of the other groups would simply say, if you ignore them, they will just go away. They are just a schism. They won't last. We are the true nation. We have the right way. However, as time has proven, they are the ones who have fallen away. Their leaders took them absolutely nowhere. As they watched the Ansarullah community grow worldwide, a link was made with the Ansars of the Sudan, known as the Mahdiya, which welcomed the Ansars in the Western Hemisphere. At this point, we were wearing what had been established as the international garb of the Ansarullah community. This consisted of a thawb dress, khimar, face veil for the female. This face veil, which was not a part of the Sudanese original dress, was introduced by the women of the community, who mostly left immediately after and went back to the wearing Western attire, leaving the devoted women behind veiled. I told them that the day would come when this veil would have to be removed while living in the West, and it has. And the jalabia, long white garment, and pantaloon, loose-fitting pants, and emma, head covering for the male, and the azaba. This angered them more, for it legitimized the Ansarullah community as being linked to their ancestors in Nubia as one family. But our teachings was still in the baby stage, and it was growing to adolescence rapidly. We were unique because no human being can find fault in it. There is no confusion in it. Then on to adulthood. Our code of dress changed from time to time to suit the time we were in. Our garb had mutated again in the year 1992 to the casnuth, a tunic, and pantaloons, loose-fitting pants with a sash around the waist in various colors for the male, and the budla novi for the female, which also consists of a tunic and pantaloon and a shawl as a head covering of many colors. And the information that was being taught, believing that you must be submerged into the environment of what you are being taught fully, was complete. This again made the fools raise their eyebrows and say of us, I told you, they didn't know what they were doing. They keep changing. They used to wear the veils, now they don't. Not one of them was intelligent enough to see that this change was their great chance. For they said, those people, those Ansars, they are not real Muslims. Allah does not accept their prayer or their fasting, and they are not going to Jannah. They worship that man, that disco singer, Dr. York. Yet when the change came, they confessed to themselves and the Ansarullah community that all the while they thought of us as Muslims, for they said, I heard they don't fast Ramadan anymore. I heard they don't make 5 daily prayers no more, and they destroy the masjid. I hear that women no longer follow the dress of Al-Quran. They are taking off the veil, and the men no longer wear the jalabiyah and the emma. What happened to them? The answer should have been simply, if we want Muslims, how could they ask these questions? They confirmed that they looked to us as living according to Al-Quran. Our children were raised speaking fluent Arabic, reading the Quran in Arabic, yet the Quran is a 1400-year-old book, and Islam is a 1400-year religion, the way they practice it. And it was doing absolutely nothing to change the condition of the Nubian Negro in the Western Hemisphere. They may put on a taqiyah, grow a beard, shave their beard, put on oils from the East or robes from the East, prayer beads in their hands, and carry an English translation of the Quran, but the condition and the state of mind did not change. A sign that with all they have and have been exposed to, with all these teachers and saviors, they were still in need of right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. It is my job to reform all the false teachings that have been taught to Nubians, blacks in the West, and restore Islam to its pristine purity. It is because of these false teachings of the so-called Arabs who deliberately mistranslated verses of the Quran to confuse non-Arabic speaking Nubians in the West. The time was right for this prepared savior. So we moved into the Catskills Mountains of Liberty, New York, and set up what I called Jazir Abba, and set up 19 tests of 19 weeks of the faithful that will come through blizzards to be taught once that was established. The next move was Mecca of Nubians, Georgia, USA. Mecca of Georgians, Mecca of Nubians, Georgia, USA. One more time. Mecca of Nubians, Georgia, USA. The dress then changed to Western attire in order to get everybody away from doing their own thing. Those that truly followed the Lamb wherever he may lead them, trusted in him and wore Western clothes and even listened to country Western music simply because he asked them to. And now the Holy Tabernacle Ministries is growing worldwide and the mission is being accomplished. The letters are pouring in. Even the original followers are waking up. Many who followed other teachers are finding their way to the Lamb. Nubians are allowed to wear what they want. Whatever you want to wear, it's your choice. However, we give honor to our great ancestors, and therefore the men wear the Murdoch braid, which is at the back of the head called a farouk. And women also wear a farouk or ninti braid that is 1 inch above the right ear. You can put beads on your ninti braid or a gold band on your Murdoch braid. We also wear the balura, bindi jewel, in the middle of the foreheads if you want. The letters are pouring in, even the original followers are waking up. Many who followed other teachers are finding their way to the Lamb. The sun is truly coming out of the east onto the west, and those who endure to the end are receiving the crown of life.